Um, Tish Rudnicki was appointed Executive Director and President of North Shore Senior Center in January of 2019, bringing 30 years of experience helping older adults live healthy and fulfilling lives. Prior to joining North Shore Senior Center, Tish worked for 29 years at the Kenneth Young Center, a provider of behavioral health services to individuals of all ages and community-based social services to older adults throughout the northwest suburbs of Chicago. She most recently served as the Chief Program Officer there, where she was responsible for overseeing all clinical and support services for 13,000 clients aged 3 to 105. She recently received her MSW from the Jane Addams College of Social Work at the University of Chicago in 1985, following undergraduate studies at Miami University. She currently serves as board president of Coordinated Care Alliance, a statewide network of community-based organizations serving older adults in Illinois. She's a passionate advocate for older adults and people living with disabilities. And she was when she joined, she made the comment, "I have long admired North Shore Senior Center for all of its great work on behalf of those it serves and the culture of care and learning that it promotes." She said she was excited to have a role in continuing that work and building upon it. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology from Miami University, and you heard me say a master's in social work from the University of Illinois. She, little personal information. She lives in Barrington with her husband, Mike, and their 120-pound Leon Berger, Macy. She has 2 sons, one moving to Wilmette with his wife in September, and she's going to have a grandchild born in February. And the other son is living in Boston with his wife. When she's not working at the center, she spends her spare time with her family and friends playing golf, gardening, and enjoying travels, flea markets, and art fairs. With that, Tish, it's all up to you.
Thanks, Jay. Good morning, everyone. I don't even remember saying that about the center when I started. It's been a hell of a, excuse my language, 2.5 years, as you can imagine. You kind of get your everything going in the right direction, and boom, there's a pandemic. And so everything stops and you have to reevaluate and pivot and create new programming. So it has been an interesting 2.5 years. I did spend 29 years, as Jay said, at the Kenneth Young Center. And throughout those 29 years, looked to North Shore and emulated the senior center as sort of the pinnacle of older adult services in the state of Illinois. And I am not alone in that view. We are very highly regarded across the state and actually across the nation because of our accreditations and because of the breadth of services that we provide. So I could talk about North Shore Senior Center easily for 45 minutes, but that would be incredibly boring for all of you just to listen to me talk. So as Jill and I were preparing for today, I said questions throughout the program. I welcome them up at the top, wherever your raised hand thing is on your device, or kind of just do this. And hopefully we'll get to all of your questions. And I do have a PowerPoint to share, which means I can't see any of you, which is really disappointing to me. I was really so looking forward to seeing you all in the auditorium and talking with the group who signed on early here. I understand people's reticence in coming back fully to the center. That doesn't prevent me from longing for the day when Tuesday morning, again, the center is bustling with all of you. So I know there's one question, Jill. So
yes,
go
there
ahead.
is. Yeah, actually, Ron asks, do you feel every senior center or group of seniors has a personality? If so, how would you define the North Shore Senior Center's personality?
Oh, what a great question. You know, I think what's most, yes, I feel every senior center, every person, whether you're 15, 65, 85, has their own unique personalities. I think because we're celebrating our 65th anniversary, many of you have been affiliated with the center or aware of the center and its activities for a long time. I would describe North Shore as high achieving. So if I'm thinking of it as a person, high achieving, friendly, warm, welcoming, and just really continuing to be curious about the world around them. So, you know, so many times older adults become sort of singular focused and their world shrink. And I have not encountered that with people here at the senior center. I think people are very open to hearing new things, trying new things, listening to people, speakers, and lecturers. And I just think we're a very vibrant, active center, which is part of the appeal, right? For me and for everyone else. We do serve across all of our programs, 24,000 older adults on average throughout the course of the year. And that's a considerable reach into Chicagoland and the northern suburbs, all the way up into Highland Park. We have services at some of the senior buildings in Highland Park and all of the area hospitals. So I think the other thing that strikes me as North Shore, and I'm deviating from answering your question now, is that what you see here at the center, what you see in Northfield, is really just the tip of what we do. So much of what we do is not visible to people who come to the center because it's in the community. So I'm going to pause there because I think there was a raised hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I did see a raised hand and then it went off again. So I know it was SK Rendell. Just looking through the,
Yeah,
it was turned off again. So I don't see it anymore.
okay, well,
So
if you
please
change
do,
command,
yeah.
unmute yourself and ask the question. I will share my screen now, and we'll start with the PowerPoint, which means I am not going to be able to see you. So Jill hopefully will ask any questions that you might have. Delighted to say that we're celebrating our 65th year of service this year. We have been in the building here in Northfield for 20 years, but 65, you all know this history. 65 years ago, we were small but mighty in the Winnetka Community House and then moved to the high school. When we were about to get kicked out of the high school, we had a very diligent group of folks who raised money, found a location, and built out what was formerly a scuba warehouse here at 161. So we are the lucky inhabitants of a very well-maintained, well-planned building. So let me see my screen. Not be responding. So here at the center and throughout the community, we have 4 primary departments or kind of service centers, if you will. Lifelong learning, which you're all incredibly familiar with because this Tuesday Club is a part of the lifelong learning programming. Senior and family services, which is really where the largest portion of our activities occur. It's the largest staff. And we reach the most people through senior and family services. So all in North Shore Seniors and Senior Options Care Management, which also includes counseling and daily money management. So those are the 4 primary areas that we provide service. Lifelong learning. You know, you've seen these pictures, I'm sure. You've been a part of these programs. This happens to be, I think, the member appreciation, gosh, now 2 years ago. I have a bit of an 18-month lag in my memory from when things happened like this. But lifelong learning, anything that you want to learn about, that you want to do, trips you want to take, happens through lifelong learning. I think you've probably been informed about the addition of peer-led programming to our list of activities. It's a little bit of a different model in that the groups are led by someone, the speaker is not a lecturer, but someone who is a part of the group, and there is sharing of ideas, sharing of responsibility. You take some part in the presentation, so it's a little bit of a different model, but we are delighted to have them join us. Part of what we'll be doing for that group is adding, and all of you really, is adding hybrid ability. So we will have 4 separate hybrid setups in addition to the Golder and the Cone coming in the fall, which means all of our programming will be able to be accessible via Zoom or in person for those who want it. So that is a big change. I know some of you contributed to that campaign for us to raise the funds to be able to do that. So thank you. We are grateful and eager to start that method of programming. You know that there's a number of different categories within lifelong learning. So learning, enriching, visiting places, taking canoe trips, the walking club with Jill that I see meet on Friday mornings. I'm very envious that I can't join you. So I think all of those activities are things that we have heard from you, you're interested in doing and participating in, and delighted to be able to provide those. If you haven't seen the fitness center, and I love that we are describing it as a boutique fitness center, because it really is. It really specializes in providing exercises and programming for folks who have a little more life experience in them. And if you haven't had a chance to yet meet Katie Morgan, I suggest you do, because she's incredible. She is a dynamo, and she does a lot of personal training with folks right now. It's been very active. Membership is growing in the fitness center. There's no longer the need to make appointments. You can drop in. One of my long-term goals is to get the fitness center revitalized, to do some as far as the physical space, to make sure that we can get even more of the latest equipment in and provide Katie with more tools to be able to help train folks. Katie is a North Shore Senior Center staff person. Unlike previously, we contracted out the fitness center staff, but Mary and I decided at the start, again, hole in my memory from the pandemic, to bring that in-house. And I think we are acknowledging that we get better service. Our members seem to be much happier with Katie than they were with the previous trainers. The shop at the center, we had a great sale last week. I think we raised, in needing to prepare for fall on-site classes, we needed to kind of clear out the storage. And in doing so, had a great sale. If you happen to be here Wednesday through Friday of last week, we made probably $8,000, which was pretty tremendous, because all of that is considered fundraising dollars. As you know, all of the items in the shop are either handmade by folks here at the center, or donated, and there is some great stuff. So delighted with that. It is also now available on our website. So we have joined 2021 and have virtual options for shopping. So that has been active throughout the pandemic. So just a kind of a snapshot of lifelong learning, because I'm not sure, as I mentioned earlier, if you're aware of how large a reach we have. In the fiscal year that ended last June, we had 23,000 enrollments just in programming through lifelong learning. Now, we stopped doing in-person programming and started Zoom in March of 2020 and have not resumed full on-site programming. So we continue via Zoom. We did offer those classes complimentary, as I'm sure you're all aware, for the first few months, but then from a business perspective, that was not something that was sustainable. So 2021, which just ended, we've been open, sort of roll things out, and then have to kind of roll up the carpet a little bit as things change in the state of Illinois. But happily, right now, our doors are open. There are clubs and some small classes happening on site. The art studio, the Weavers, those are all very active groups and in almost every day. So we're delighted with that. We will continue, as I said, virtual programming, and we will move to a more hybrid model beginning in September with the next catalog and those activities. I'm going to pause here just for a moment to see if there are any additional questions. I don't see any in the chat, but Jill, I don't know if you have any.
No, I don't see any. I'll just quickly scroll through the gallery photos, see if anyone's wildly waving at me. I don't see any hands up or anything. Thanks, Tish.
Okay, well, I will continue on then. So Senior and Family Services, as I said, is really the largest department we have here at North Shore Senior Center. There are, when we're fully staffed, about 30 care coordinators, supervisors, specialists in caregiver support and benefits. They work primarily in the community. So throughout the pandemic, all of the assessments and all of that community-based work was done telephonically. And that was by order of the Illinois Department on Aging. So that changed effective July 1, and we are now back in the community seeing older adults in their homes. We do have ongoing support groups that are happening via Zoom, but any assessments or community-based services are being set up in a person's home. We're also back in the 6 area hospitals. That's something else that I'm not sure people are aware of that we do, but we have social workers in each of the area hospitals, and those people see anyone who are being discharged to skilled nursing for rehab or needing to go home with home care services. And they're able to provide just the full sort of suite of services that we offer, as well as connect people to services through state and federal programs, which if you've been hospitalized for a knee replacement and gone to rehab, you may have seen one of North Shore Senior Center's care coordinators. I think the thing that is important to think of here too is that the mission really comes true in this department. These are the folks that help people maintain their independence and stay at home for as long as they're able to. So if you have a neighbor who maybe is frail and homebound, can't get out very easily and could benefit from some additional help, whether it's home delivered meals or someone kind of coming in to help keep their house tidy, we would connect them through Senior and Family Services, who would do an assessment for any of these types of activities that they might need. In addition, we are an elder abuse, we're an adult protective services organization, which means any allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitation in the surrounding area, we investigate and then help to mitigate and really help to keep people, victims, safe so that they can live in their own homes for as long as they'd like to. That is really kind of the driving mission of the Senior Center. And for those of you who don't know, we do serve a 4-township area. So Niles, Northfield, Maine, New Trier Townships, and the city of Evanston. So that is our core service area for state and federally funded programs. As I said earlier, we also spill into Lake County, into Highland Park, and we have folks who come to programming or come to the House of Welcome from as far away as the city of Chicago. We have a whole plethora, a robust offering of support groups for folks who find that kind of interaction with others important. For Parkinson's, people living with the disease or their caregivers, we have a very active hearing loss support group and a great partnership with HLAA, the Hearing Loss Association of America. They are responsible for the loops that are in both the Weber room and the cone, so allowing people to be able to better participate and hear programming. Caregiver support is something that we invest a lot of time, energy, and dollars into because it's as important to make sure families are healthy and well cared for as it is older adults. We also have a dementia family support group that's run out of the House of Welcome, and a really active and one of my favorite grandparents raising grandchildren groups. So that allows us to work do a little bit with kids anywhere from 3 all the way up to high school aged. Jill, did you want to
Yeah.
read that question? Okay.
There's one question here from Don. Do people have to pay for the support services?
No, they do not. So all of the services, the assessment, all of the services offered through Senior and Family Services are free of charge. We have a number, and I will talk about our funding a little bit later, but we have a number of funding streams for those services. If they are offered through the Illinois Department on Aging, it's a fee for service program, meaning if we get the referral to do an assessment for an older adult, we do that, and then we bill the state of Illinois for that service. A number of our programs are Title III federally funded programs, so there is no fee for those programs. However, as part of Title III funding, we do, of course, welcome and request donations in support of the services. So none of the services, whether they're funded and fee for service through the Department on Aging or Title III services, are fully covered by the state or federal government, which is why it's so important. The fundraising and development efforts here at the center are so important to supplement all of the services that we provide. Did that answer the question? Okay.
I think so, yeah. Thank you.
So snapshot, Senior and Family Services. You know, if you've ever gone on our website, you will see our annual outcomes report, which has these details and many, many others. North Shore Senior Center is accredited by 2 national organizations, NISC for the National Institute of Senior Centers, and CARF, which accredits social service organizations. Part 1 of the CARF initiatives is that organizations really track both outputs and outcomes. And we are one of the premier organizations in the country and have presented nationally on the type of tracking that we do for our outcomes and outputs. So when we talk about these statistics and this snapshot, you really can see sort of the number of people we touch with how many hours of service. And this is all tracked through our proprietary software. So we're very proud both of the software as well as the amount of care that we provide, and then how we're able to track it and provide that information.
Tish, Bonnie has her hand up, so I'm
Okay.
inviting Bonnie to unmute to ask her question. So Bonnie, if you can hear me okay, you just need to, oh, there you go. Thanks, Bonnie.
Understand what charge, but I meant yet, and she's going to do it. She said it was very expensive. So now is there a charge? She said it was quite expensive.
I'm
I mean,
sorry,
what she could
Bonnie.
afford. That was my.
You were breaking up, so I didn't hear most of your question.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Not now.
She wanted to bring him to the House of Care, but
House
could
of
not
Welcome.
afford
House
House
of
Welcome, but could not afford it. She said it was more than she could afford. Is it?
So I'm going to
not?
go, there is a fee for House of Welcome, and I'm going to go back to this first slide. So there are four different really lines of service at North Shore Senior Center. Lifelong Learning, Senior and Family Services is the bulk of social services, and those programs are all primarily state and federally funded, also grant and private foundation supported. The House of Welcome The third in the line here, which we're just getting to, so I'm going to skip ahead again, is a private pay fee for service model. And the reason for that is, we have spent, see if this answers your question, Bonnie, and at the end, please feel free to raise your hand again. So it's very specialized. It's a non-medical model of care for people who are living with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of memory loss. It's very pointed, and staff is trained in person-centered dementia care, creating a home-like facility. So if you've ever been to the House of Welcome, you'll know that it's not a huge space. It is, of course, we need to be approved by the health department, and we're approved to house up to 40 people in that setting. We typically cap our census at House of Welcome at about 36 because we feel that with the restroom facilities, that's what's really most manageable. We have entertained the idea of having a state contract support that, which would mean that it would be more affordable and not a private pay model. However, given the space and the way the state contracting works, they would require us to house between 85 and 100 people and provide service for that many in that space. And that's just not the type of programming that we want to do. So it is private pay. We do have a small scholarship, ability to scholarship some folks. And we also can help people access their long-term care insurance if they have that. So what we've done over the course of the pandemic, and I believe the slide is coming up, but there's three really facets to the House of Welcome. There's the day program, which is small group activities that run throughout the day, Monday through Friday. Now, prior to the pandemic, we had a much more restrictive schedule at House of Welcome. So you needed to be available and come to the day program 2 of 5 full days. And so you were required to pay for a full day of service, whether maybe the morning was better for you. So what we were able to do during the pandemic is really review our model for care. And we now have 3 options. So there's a morning session, an afternoon session, or a full day session. And there is a fee that is associated with each of those 3 sessions, making it more affordable for people who maybe couldn't come to the full day program. It does remain a fee for service program, private pay with opportunities for scholarship, as well as we can assist with long-term care insurance. The Memory Cafe is something that is fully funded by Age Options and Title III services. It is a once a month activity that someone living with dementia would join with their care partner. So it might be a husband and a wife who come. We have some great activities, dancing, singing. It's one of the most fun things that happens here on Friday. And we also continue with a virtual activity every day. So when the pandemic happened, we transitioned the entire day program to virtual and have maintained that at no cost for folks throughout the pandemic. That continues with one hour session now, as the day program has been open again since July 19th. So House of Welcome also approaching its 20th birthday. I don't know how many of you have been inside the House of Welcome, but it needed a little TLC, needed a little refresh. Because we're always very cognizant of the dollars we spend here at the center, we did kind of the cosmetic refresh. So removed some wallpaper, changed some lighting, painted. We do have a new air filtration system. We also have ultraviolet lighting, which kills things in the air and the air vents, all kinds of sanitation. It's really fresh. It's very calming. The people that we have involved in the program now are really responding well to the changes that we've made. So House of Welcome, as you can see, prior to the pandemic was very active. We are in the rebuilding phase. So we're hopeful that by continuing with some of the changes that we've made, being a little bit more flexible with the programming and able to meet the needs of more people, because we can, participants rotate in and out daily, that we're hoping that we can meet the needs of the community. So far, it's been quite successful. Of course, we're only a month in, and I am an eternal optimist. So the last of the 4 major programs is Senior Options, and this is set up as a private fee-for-service, so a little different than Senior and Family Services suite of services. We have care management, daily money management, and counseling with licensed clinical social workers. So I would say our daily money management and counseling have been booming throughout the pandemic. Lots of new referrals, lots of folks needing assistance, a lot of people dealing with issues like grief, loss, anxiety around the pandemic. So we have some very highly skilled social workers providing that counseling. And one of the things that we did at the start of the pandemic was transition some of the staff out of Senior Options into a grant-funded program. You know, as we, back in the spring of, gosh, was it 20? Back in the spring of 20, when we were looking at the landscape, our goal as an organization was to try to maintain our existing staff and not be forced to furlough staff or lay people off, but to really creatively look at the positions that we had open and some of our grant opportunities and transition staff to those positions when we could. And I am happy to be able to say we were able to do that. Throughout the pandemic, we have not had to lay any staff off, furlough anyone, close any programming permanently. So House of Welcome was closed for a period, but it wasn't closed permanently. So I think the upside for us was that we were able really to focus talented staff in areas where they were needed and not have to make major changes or impact the lives of our staff. Because I will say, as many times as people will let me, is that one of the biggest assets of the senior center is not this glorious space we have, but it's all the people who work here, because the compassion and the caring they have for those they serve, or for all of you who utilize the programs, it's just tremendous. And I can honestly say it's one of the things I'm most proud of about the center. So just some details about Senior Options. The program it's a major state grant is the Colbert program. You might be familiar. It is, the purpose is to move folks back into the community from skilled nursing facilities when they're able to do so. So the state acknowledges that sometimes folks get stuck in skilled nursing. They don't need that level of care, but they're stuck for a variety of reasons. So this provides expertise and the funding to help people move back into the community. Jill, I see another question.
This is more about the House of Welcome. Steve says, what specifically is done for the people at the House of Welcome?
Great question. So the day is very structured around, folks will come in. We open at 9, we close at 5. There is an hour lunch provided. So there's programming. I'm trying to think of a good example. They start every morning with the coffee and conversation. They have a morning meeting where they lay out the rest of the day. There is music therapy, art therapy, current events activities. So there's a lot of small group activities that happen throughout the day. There's games. There are, I call them memory twisters, but really they're just current events things and ways to enhance people's memory. We do have pretty amazing outdoor space. So sometimes people are very interested in spending time outside and gardening. So there are small gardening activities. So it's really centered around all small group activities, but things that people want to participate in. Sometimes there are entertainers in that there are people will come and there'll be sing-alongs. Sometimes there are folks that come to lead dance movement therapy, or exercise classes are built into every day. So it's a series of activities throughout the day that are designed specifically for people with memory loss. And so they're very targeted to help people succeed in those activities and to enjoy part of House of Welcome, while it's keeping people engaged and socializing when they're living with memory loss. It also provides much needed respite for their family caregivers. What we've learned over the course of the pandemic is that people who might have at one time considered a more congregate or assisted living full time for folks, the virus made people rethink that and want to keep their loved ones at home. But 24/7 care for someone who is managing to live with dementia is really difficult for folks. And so having an outlet like Senior Options, where really the attention is on the person with memory loss and how best to help them fill their day, has been essential for the caregivers. I'm gonna go backwards. So building updates, 20 years old. We have a Cracker Jack facilities team. I'm sure all of you remember seeing Alan Sal when you're on site, as well as the reception staff and Pat English. We, over the course of the pandemic, did a lot of investigation into how to clean the air in the building. If you're familiar with our site, you know that it is, there are not windows that open here. It was not designed in that way. So we needed to install a new air filtration system. We have 24 AC HVAC units on the roof of this building. So air filtration had to be installed for each of the HVAC systems. Something I never anticipated learning about is HVAC, but we have quite a few. 12 of them have been replaced within the last 2 years. So we do have a capital wish list, and the other 12 are on that wish list. We also have changed our air filters. We're increased our sanitation and cleaning. We've installed one touchless water cooler, which we're super excited about, and we'll be installing additional ones over the coming probably couple weeks.
So Tish, there are two more questions.
Okay.
Before we go on too far. So David said, could you explain a bit more about the coordination you provide with one's LTC? So that's more specifically about the previous slide.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you read it one more time?
Could you explain a bit more about the coordination you provide with one's LTC? I can try and find
insurance. Okay.
Right.
So really, it's most long-term care insurance policies will cover some form of respite or adult day programming. So we have staff here who can reach out to make sure that, to find out what's covered, to make sure it is covered, and to help people with the billing process. Is there a follow-up question, or?
That was all that
Okay.
he wrote.
Okay.
Ron actually had another quite different question. Does the center invest enough to promote NSSC? So many persons don't know all that it does. Not only seniors, but proto-seniors who will be aging quicker than they think.
Great question. And, you know, I can answer it from two different perspectives. From the perspective of a longtime professional, the center is well known throughout the state and the nation. Where we fall down, and thank you, Ron, for pointing that out, is making sure we get the word out to incoming folks, We need to build our bench strength with younger seniors. And so we've recently promoted Amy Kraus to Director of Marketing, and we've initiated some projects between marketing and lifelong learning. Some of you may have seen the postcards around the center. So we've targeted an additional 5,000 people for this postcard campaign. So we're beginning to do those sorts of things to really reach out into the community to spread the word about what we do. We also work with New Trier Township on some of their broadcasts. Our social media is really popping. We have had the benefit of a Master's of Fine Arts student from Northwestern do an internship here with us for this past year. Did a lot of film things for us, but also really has improved our social media as far as LinkedIn. Follow us on Instagram if you're not already, Facebook. So we're kind of making forays out into the community and increasing our marketing presence. As I said, though, all of these things, whether it's HVAC for the building or adding programming or increasing our marketing footprint, all of these things take money and dollars. And as a nonprofit, we have to be very careful about where those dollars are spent. So hopefully we will continue to raise foundation dollars. We have a strong fundraising team. And so as we do those things and as we increase usage across the center, we'll be able to do more marketing.
Thank you. And one more comment and question from Ron. You have a fantastic caring staff. Like your many volunteers, do they see it more of a calling to make a difference than just a job?
I would say yes. If I walk, I'm often here in the evening. So when Jay was sharing what I do in my free time, I'm thinking in the last 2.5 years, my free time has been North Shore Senior Center. But there are staff here till 7:30 at night. Not because, they don't have anything else to do, but because they truly believe in the work that they do. And they are dedicated not only to the people they serve, but to one another, to their colleagues. And so I think the staff do it, yes, because they have a calling. I think some, this will sound probably politically incorrect, and so apologize if that's so. I don't know if you have a calling for accounting or you have a calling because you believe in North Shore Senior Center. So I think oftentimes it's the belief in the work of the center. And so if you're an accountant, then you work for us because you believe in what we do. And I think that's true throughout our staff.
I don't see any more questions. I had a quick look at the gallery. I don't see anyone waving. Thanks.
So fundraising initiatives. We are a nonprofit, a 501c3, and our fundraising activities are essential to the health and really the sustainability of the center. We have the benefit of having a foundation whose sole purpose is to support the center and be that safety net that will guarantee sustainability of the center into the future. So we try very hard to limit any donations from the foundation to the center and actively work to raise funds in a number of different ways. This is brand new news. We haven't even announced this to the full staff yet. We had been planning a gala at Ravinia on October 2nd of this year. And we have made the incredibly difficult decision to postpone it until May 7th, keeping it within our fiscal year. Yet part of the reason for our move to Ravinia with the gala was because we were bursting at the seams in the country club 2 years ago. So we needed a larger space. With a larger space comes some larger costs, and we still had an ROI that we were very interested in hitting. So as we acknowledge that the Delta variant is stronger than some of us and does not seem to be moved by my desire to have people gather in person, we have made the decision to move the gala to May. That will allow us to have a larger gathering and to really celebrate the 65th anniversary in the way that we should. It's quite a feat to have a social service nonprofit be as successful for 65 years as North Shore Senior Center has done. And we want to celebrate, and we want to celebrate with a lot of people with all the pomp and revelry that we should. So that will be in May. So watch for more information. The other activity, and I'll pause for the question and then talk a little bit more about the other fundraising initiatives.
So it's not strictly a fundraising question. It says, can you tell us a bit about the Illinois Department on Aging? What do they do?
Sure. How about this? I'm going to hold that question. I'll jot it down. Just finish through the slides, and then I can get out of the slideshow. So pause there for that question. Hold that thought. So the other fundraising activities that we are in the midst of is the 65th Anniversary Club, donating $65 a month for a year, total of $780. We have a lot of donations coming in for that, which is really exciting. We also have spring, year-end, and lapsed donor appeals. I'm sure you've all been received our mailings for those appeals, as well as we have a specialized position, a corporate sponsorship manager, and she really, her whole role is to reach out to the corporations in the area, make connections, and then form relationships and partnerships, looking for, of course, having them fund some of our programs. So if any of you have contacts at area corporations, please feel free to share them with Jill or I, and we will pass them on to Nikki. So how can you support North Shore Senior Center? There's Jill. I think this is walking club. I'm not sure. Or a day trip.
Day trip.
You can certainly volunteer, become a corporate or community partner, or connect us to people who you know that are still working or have active roles in the community and you think would be a good partner for us. And of course, always to donate. I think that's the last slide. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to stop screen sharing and then I will answer the question about IDOA. So the Illinois Department on Aging is the state-run department that is responsible for all aging services in Illinois. Any dollars that come from the federal government or that are allocated throughout the state to aging programs come through IDOA. Director Paula Basta has been there since Governor Pritzker's term began. She is a longtime friend of aging, housing, and has worked in the field for many years. So she's really brought to the department an acknowledgement of the work of the boots on the ground organizations and staff, and supports that work wholeheartedly. The services that we provide for for Illinois Department on Aging are assessments for the community care program, which provides services in home for folks. So think not nursing, but think aid. So someone to help shower or bathe or provide a meal, cook a meal for someone who's unable to do those things. So we do the assessments, we arrange that service, and then make sure all those things are in place for folks. Those services we build directly to the Illinois Department on Aging. They work in tandem with Age Options, which is the area agency on aging and is designated by the state and federal governments to provide Title III funding and oversight. So in addition to sort of program structure, all of these organizations also complete audits, provide oversight, make sure that we are kind of doing what we say we do and doing it well.
Thank you, Tish. One of the questions came through directly to me, so I'll just read this out. A greater focus on marketing will generate more new donors. Folks need to know about the NSSC before they can support the NSSC. So that was more a comment that
And
Someone sent.
you are absolutely correct. And it's something that we have been focusing on and moving towards doing more of in my 2.5 years of being here. It's a major effort to create a marketing campaign. And we're really, as I said, the postcard campaign is the initial foray into looking at doing things a little bit differently and getting out in the world in a greater way.
Thank you. So Don says or asks, what corporations in the area contribute annually to the NSSC? Ravinia is a worthy organization, but they seem to have a large number of corporations giving to the music festival.
So
Yes.
yes, and I think, you know, as we were preparing for this gala, we had more success with sponsorships than we ever have had in the past. So I am trying to go through the list of people that sponsor us. Many of the area home care organizations, Home Instead, Chase Bank, Byline Bank. I am not going to name them all, so hopefully there are not representatives from people I'm missing. Elevate Care, Presbyterian Homes. So a lot of those support North Shore Senior Center either through the gala, through their private foundations, or just with outright contributions to the center. We would like to develop, you know, other Medline, for example, located right here in Northfield. If anyone has a contact at Medline, please send them to me. We have struggled to get into Medline since well before my tenure. So it's really reaching out to the larger corporations. You know, Ravinia, Botanic Garden, yeah, they have great lists of donors. We're not in the same league as they are. We're a phenomenal small to mid-sized social service organization. And we will continue to grow. And I have to say, we're fiscally strong and we're a great investment for donors and corporations. What we find in fundraising, that so often it's that connecting to the right person. And so, you know, I have a lot of contacts. I don't have a contact at Medline, for example. So it's how do we utilize the people that are connected to the center to make those connections for us. So that's something else that we are looking at in a greater way now, I think, than we ever have in the past.
Thank you. Comment here, excellent presentation. Thank you. I don't see any more questions in chat, and I've been looking in the gallery. Don't see anyone waving at me, but I see Jay is unmuted, so thank you, Tish. Jay, do you have a question?
Sure.
Thank you so much, Tish. This is
My
something
pleasure.
that I thought was absolutely necessary, and my committee agreed that there are so many people in members who don't know what all goes on behind the scenes. So I thought this was vitally important. I may be one of the longest members of the center. I don't know, but I've been a member for 29 years. And I don't know, there may be others who have been longer, but that's really up there. And it has done a remarkable job over the years. Fantastic. And it's been my pleasure personally to be involved in so much of it. And I thank you for all that you and the others have done.
Thank you. But in closing, thank you for letting me talk to you all today.
Tish, I see one more raised hand. Jim Artis.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I just muted you by accident, Jim. Unmute, Jim. Sorry.
Okay. Tish, first of all, an extraordinary presentation. I loved it. Is there any chance with this transcript that we provided, can we make this available maybe as part of the magazine, a walk through the center by giving the speech of yours today, or handouts? We can capitalize on disseminating this beyond what we're doing today.
Certainly, I look to the Tuesday Club executive crew to decide how best we can do that. I will also talk with Amy about that. And, you
Great.
know, one other fun tidbit that we're working on, you all receive the catalog from Lifelong Learning, and then we have Engage. And so they have kind of these disparate audiences. We're going to combine the two in the next calendar year into one really fabulous publication and be able to send it to even more. So that is something else that we're doing as far as marketing. How we bottle what I just did today, I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. And certainly happy to do it whenever
Great.
and to whomever. But what I would like to close with is, and I share this with the staff all the time as well, I very much have an open door policy and try to be as transparent as I can about any information about the center. So that said, feel free to call. I can give you my direct, or maybe Jill can send out my email and direct phone number as she would with the Zoom link so that you have it, and feel free to stop by if you're in the center. I welcome comments, questions, any suggestions that you might have. Not that we can always do everything that you'd like us to do, but we will certainly try to continue to improve the center. And you all go a long way to getting the word out for us and to participating. So thank you for everything, for being here this morning. Have a fabulous day. Hopefully you can enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And I'll thank you all for coming and end the meeting. Bye, everyone.